So, here we are working with 3 groups, and now we are going to start feeding all 3 groups. In addition to feed bunk evaluations, we conduct weekly temperature assessments, milk yield control evaluations, milk weighing, and blood sampling. The sprinklers in the feed bunk area remain on continuously, along with the fans.
Jesse sent a message saying that he won't be making videos anymore because you haven't subscribed to the Santa Fe channel. So subscribe now, and he will continue recording on farms around the world.
My name is Marcela Machado. I am an animal scientist and a PhD candidate in the postgraduate animal science program at UDESC. We started this experiment a few days ago, and we are evaluating heat stress in the animals. Currently, we are working with 3 groups, 2 groups receiving different products and 1 control group that is not receiving any treatment. Our daily feed management routine includes monitoring intake. Every morning, we weigh the feed refusals, evaluate consumption, and adjust the feed allocation accordingly. This process is repeated daily until the end of the experiment. Now, we are finishing feeding the animals, after which we will apply the product, mix it in, and continue adjusting the intake on a daily basis. The importance of conducting research before launching or improving a product in the field is to ensure its effectiveness for the producer. There is no point in developing a study or introducing a product if it does not bring tangible benefits to the producer. Being able to conduct this experiment at the experimental farm is highly valuable. Since this farm closely resembles a commercial dairy operation, it provides a realistic view of field conditions. We face challenges that are very similar to those encountered by producers. Additionally, there are factors beyond our control, such as weather conditions or unexpected health issues in certain cows. However, this setup allows us to bridge the gap between scientific research and practical application, ensuring that producers can implement scientifically validated solutions with confidence. All right, that's done. Since we have 20 animals in each group, we conduct 2 feedings per day. This is the second morning feeding. The first feeding is done early in the morning, and we adjust intake to ensure that the animals reach their target dry matter intake per day. So, when I arrive in the morning, I weigh all the feed refusals and calculate how much they should consume. Since the experimental groups are fed first, followed by the general herd that is not part of the experiment, we determine how much feed is allocated. This allows us to weigh the refusals again the next morning and track exactly how much each animal has consumed over the course of the day. Here we have soybean hulls, which we will mix into the first group because it is the control group. No experimental product is added to this group. It is simply to ensure that the total feed quantity is balanced across all treatments. In this experiment, we are testing 2 different products. One is a blend, and the other is designed to evaluate heat stress. In addition to feed intake monitoring, we conduct weekly temperature assessments, milk yield evaluations, milk weighing, and blood sampling. The first group does not receive any product, the second group receives 1 type of product, and the third group receives another. We are analyzing how these products could potentially improve heat stress management in dairy cows by comparing their effects. Now, we wait for the cows to eat for a while, then they will lie down and relax, and that's when we measure their respiratory rate. These evaluations are not conducted daily. Respiratory rate assessments are performed twice a week. However, we do measure daily milk production at each of the 3 milking sessions. Other evaluations are carried out every day. Temperature assessments include external temperature measurements. Currently, we use a pyrometer to measure different areas of the animal's body: the frontal region, the ear, and the left flank, specifically around the triangular area near the hip. We also measure the rump, the hind leg, and rectal temperature. Twice a week, we place intravaginal temperature loggers, iButtons, in some animals from each group. These devices record internal body temperature every 15 minutes. When we retrieve the loggers, we obtain a detailed temperature graph tracking the animal's internal heat fluctuations. Regarding cooling, the sprinklers along the feed bunk remain on continuously. In the holding area before milking, sprinklers and fans operate for about 20 minutes before the cows enter the parlor. Once the first group enters, the cooling system stays on continuously, ensuring constant water and airflow.
Regarding the issue of pushing feed, once I was listening to a podcast, and even Trevor mentioned, how many times a day should we push feed? There is no exact number, as he said. If you push the feed and see a cow coming to eat, it probably means it needed more feed. When I visit a farm, I like to check if there is a shovel or broom available to push the feed. If you arrive at a farm and there is nothing like that by the feed bunk, it's a sign they're not pushing the feed enough. Here we aim to push feed 2 or 3 times in the morning and then another 2 times in the afternoon. We use a tractor with a piece of equipment attached, and it is generally circulating more in the morning, so it's pushing more feed during that time. The shovel is always available though. So since there are people circulating all the time, the recommendation is, if you see that the animals are eating and the feed needs to be replenished, just grab the shovel and push it. This is the best recommendation. If we talk about the number of times to push feed per day, it's usually about 10 to 12 times. If there's a robot pushing the feed, set it to push once every hour. However, I think it really depends on the person working with the cattle. A good worker here is someone who enjoys working with cows and feeding them. And those who enjoy feeding cows don't like to see them stretching their necks to eat. So we advise that if you see a situation like this where there is a lack of feed, just grab the shovel and push. It's really not that complicated. Here we have the silos we've been working with, and we consider sealing to be of utmost importance. We use oxygen barriers and place these tires here to prevent air from entering. This year we also started using an additional protective barrier on top. As you can see, we are surrounded by a lot of forest, and many animals move through this area. Sometimes they even walk over the silage, which is something we can't always control. This protective measure has proven to be highly effective on many farms, so we decided to implement it here as well. Beyond that, we take extra care when opening or removing silage panels. This is crucial because we have a significant financial investment stored here. The foundation of our entire feeding program on the farm is corn silage. That's why we believe these measures are essential. You can see that we use mini bags to prevent air infiltration, along with tires for additional protection. Additionally, we have started using this protective covering on the farm this year to enhance silage preservation. And here we have another new project on the farm, the construction of the feed kitchen. As we've discussed before, we currently purchase the animals' feed from a company where it is processed in a factory. Our goal is to produce everything on site, which will give us greater flexibility in ingredient use. So we are building designated stations here. You can see that the foundation for a dividing wall is already in place. Once completed, we will be able to store at least 6 different ingredients that will make up the animal's diet. Additionally, there is another internal space that allows easy truck access for unloading ingredients, ensuring efficiency for both our workers and suppliers. This is a well-ventilated area, and the main goal is always to reduce costs. As we've mentioned before, this farm must be profitable. It is not a philanthropic operation. We purchase feed from NutriVital, conduct experiments here, but ultimately the farm must sustain itself. We are constantly looking for ways to improve both the working environment for our employees and the conditions for our animals. We have seen firsthand that these improvements yield significant results.
We are now going to start measuring respiratory rate. To evaluate it, we count the number of breaths a cow takes over a 30-second period, repeating the process twice to obtain a 1-minute measurement. This assessment is important because respiratory rate is an indicator of heat stress in cows. If they are breathing more rapidly, it suggests they are experiencing heat stress. These measurements also contribute to the overall evaluations in our ongoing experiment.